We've got you covered all season long. Welcome to the BCSN Nation podcast.
All right, here it is. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 29 of the BCSN Nation podcast, presented to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm Brandon Carnes here with Justin Feldkamp and Coach Mike Robb, and we are here to have the greatest of all times. Gentlemen, baseball season is right on the cusp of rolling in. So in honor of that, I want to know what your favorite ballpark snack or go-to is. Justin.
I'm going to go ice cream, some type of chocolate malt.
Put it in the helmet?
Yeah, you could do the helmet.
Upside down helmet,
I'm
baby.
all about the helmet. We got a collection of those in the Feldkamp kitchen cupboard.
Oh, yeah.
Also, you remember those old school, like taller malt shake kind of things? And then you had the wooden spoon to...
Oh, yeah, a little shave it off the top.
That's what I like, shave it off the top.
All right, we love it. Justin's going for a nice cool treat in the summer. Mike?
I mean, you got to go with a Bratwurst, or you got to have a hot dog with only mustard.
Only mustard. You hear that?
Are you anti-ketchup? Are you anti-ketchup?
I am anti-ketchup on hot dogs or hamburgers.
Our big Chicago backing is going to come and support Mike. Your name's Mike. You know that? I do. I got to go with the ballpark dog. Yeah, you can't sit any better sitting in the chair and get a hot dog. Get your hot dog. It's nothing better, right?
Especially if it's $2. Dollar Dog Day? Come on.
Dollar Dog Day. Nothing better than a Dollar Dog Day. Nothing better than the BCSN Nation podcast. We've got our clip of the week coming up for you. We'll recap how the boys' regional finals and semifinals went last week. We'll check in across the border for some ladies' hoops as well. So much more coming up. Make sure you're listening for new episodes of the BCSN Nation podcast every Wednesday, 4 p.m. on BCSN or anywhere you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or bcsnnation.com/podcast. And make sure you are following all of our social media pages at BCSN Sports across platforms, Facebook, X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We are there. Hit the follow button. Make sure you give us a follow. And we'll start off with the D2 playoffs from last week. All right, boys. Regional semifinals, Central Catholic taking on Lutheran West. Not the night that the Irish wanted. 54-30, the final score at BG. The Irish trailed by only 7 at the half, but just couldn't keep the ball rolling in the second half. Just a great season for the Irish, very young team. Yeah, they went winless in the league play, but it helped set them up for a sizable tournament run. I'll put it that way. They played some so-so teams in the sectionals and districts. And as we spoke on the podcast, it was going to be a big jump from the level of competition from the districts into Lutheran West in the regionals. And number 1 ranked team in the state gave them all sorts of trouble. And the thing that stuck out to me from Coach Mike Floyd's post-game comments was the following. We had a quick trigger too many times throughout the game. And I think that happens at the high school level, and really maybe even at the college level. When you are down by the amount of points that they were down, you think that, okay, let's get quick points, quick points. Get it all back.
And there are no 6-point plays or 12-point plays. Exactly. And sometimes you got to chip away at it and chip away at it and chip away at it. And you can't do that when you're firing up shots from long range 2 seconds into your possession. Obviously no shot clock at the high school level here in Ohio, but you got to find a more appropriate way, I guess you could say, way to get back into the game, but they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, the old adage, slow and steady wins the race. But the race ran out of time for the Irish.
Yeah, running out of time was part of the deal, but the main thing was this with Central Catholic is you can't put up 5 points in a quarter and think you're going to get it done, or 9 points or 10 points or 6 points. You got to find yourself in deep double digits. And that's exactly what Lutheran West was able to do. They were able to get rebounds, be able to get putbacks, able to get to the free throw line and knock down shots. One thing Central Catholic, they can't hang their head down about is how they played, and they weren't even expected to be this far, especially with the record that they had. So for that young basketball team, obviously for Brenneman, he's a guy that you're going to see walk off, and obviously I think what he's three district
titles,
this
guy, only player in Central Catholic history to do so.
Which is crazy. Yeah. That is crazy to hear, but it's awesome because that kid deserves it. He stuck through it all. He fought through it all. And that's what you get. But at the end of the day, I think this young basketball team, Manny Johnson and these guys are going to be dangerous going forward.
Yeah, I'm on the same page. There's no hanging your head at the end of the season. There's a lot of positives that came from it. And 3 sophomores and 1 freshman in your starting 5 to win a district title, to get yourself into regional play, bodes really well for Coach Mike Floyd in the future of this Irish program.
Yeah, now you got to keep him on the roster. With the ever-changing transfer landscape that affects not only the college level, but has affected high school hoopsters. I think maybe more than any other sport in our area, at least. So Coach Mike Floyd will have to maintain that roster and utilize that game experience that they got throughout the regular season, playing against the tough teams in the Detroit Catholic League, and then going on this tournament run. Yes, it will pay dividends down the line. And back to Isaiah Brenneman, I believe committed to Heidelberg University, so playing college hoops at the next level. Some fine basketball in that conference there with a lot of Ohio-based teams. So good luck to him. But yeah, definitely future is bright for the Irish. Again, they will be challenged once again in league play. And then remember, next year with the expanded divisions in high school hoops, it'll be a little bit of a different landscape for the Irish to navigate. Could play to their advantage, albeit they're already a current Division II team.
So a heck of a season for Central Catholic. They're on to the future. Big things for them. And a great season. Somebody who knows a lot about great seasons in an Irish uniform is one of our top 20 female athletes of the BCSN era, Ellen 𝗦𝗻𝘁𝗀 Central Catholic volleyball player in her time there. She was a City League District Player of the Year as both a junior and a senior. First team All-State as a senior, second team All-State as a junior, an honorable mention as a sophomore, a 2016 Central Catholic Hall of Fame inductee. She went to the Ohio University from there. Your Bobcats, there he is. MAC Player of the Year in 2008, MAC Player of the Year in 2009, 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances for the Bobcats in her time there, a 2-time All-American. She left first in Ohio and MAC history with over 1,980 kills and was inducted into the MAC Hall of Fame in 2020. She's now the head coach at UConn. She played 2 seasons in Switzerland overseas. She made back-to-back Big East championships in 2021 in the shortened spring season as well as the fall season. Hall of Fame caliber, so obviously a BCSN era athlete for our women's side.
Oh, very, very, very deserving. She fits that category for us for the top 20 female athletes of the BCSN era, 2004 to now. And as you saw, she just wins wherever she goes, and she's become a leader on the court and now on the sidelines with the Huskies in college volleyball. But it really says a lot about her that so many other people around her said, yes, we've tabbed you to be a team captain, an All-American. Yes, you can lead our program and be a mentor to some young women coming out of high school and playing college volleyball. She has just been terrific. Our Joel Sebastianelli will be reporting on her later on this week on Sports Nightly, so stay tuned for that on BCSNNation.com and Sports Nightly at 10:30. But Ellen 𝗦𝗻𝘁𝗀, multi-sport athlete. I will toot that horn over and over again. I know Mike Robb loves when basketball players play football and vice versa, but she played basketball and played volleyball at a high level for the Irish. And hats off to her. Congratulations for making our list.
Yeah, as well-deserving as anybody could be. When you're a Hall of Famer at a couple of institutions, by the time you start coaching at a collegiate level and you start making conference championships there, well-deserving. Ellen 𝗦𝗻𝘁𝗀, one of our top 20 female athletes of the BCSN era. We're going to move on to one of the top seasons that any team has had in Toledo Christian history. We're talking about the regional finals last weekend. Didn't go the way that the Eagles wanted it to. 63-60, the final score. They lose to Lima Central Catholic. Gaston had 20 points, Butler 15, Hessen 10. That balanced attack still worked, but fell just short for the Eagles in a phenomenal season, one of the best in program history, and a great legacy that these upperclassmen are leaving behind.
Oh, 100%. 26-2. The fact that you played 28 games and then you go 26-2, you were ranked number 1 in the state. So many different things that they accomplished this season, but Coach Tyler Boris summed it up in a tightly contested game. It comes down to the fourth quarter. You were up 1 going to the fourth quarter, and Tyler Boris said after the game, they made plays and we didn't. That's what typically occurs in these regional final matchups, state semifinal, state championship games when the teams are 2 evenly matched teams. You got to make the plays when you need to. You can't turn the ball over. You got to knock down a shot. You got to make a free throw. You got to be fundamental on defense. You got to box out. You got to get rebounds. And a small error or one person out of 5 on the court not doing their job could lead to a second chance point or any other things that go to the advantage of the opponent. And I think you as a high schooler, You're not going to recognize. You're going to be in the heat of the moment. And man, that stinks. We didn't get to where we wanted to go, which was a trip to Dayton for the state tournament. You'll realize it maybe later on in life, but I also think later on in life, they're going to say, man, that was the one that got away. Yeah. Because they were up 1 going into the fourth quarter. They had proven to themselves, hey, we can hang with them. Lima Central Catholic, a valid program, not just a great season, but a valid program year after year. And they were right with them on a neutral site with a lot of TC backers in the stands, and they just didn't get it done.
Like you've been a coach on teams with deep playoff runs, a lot of playoff success. How do you talk to this team as the head coach, knowing that so much of this firepower that got you to this point is now they're heading off?
And it's tough, because the first thing you do is, as a coach, is you don't criticize the players, you criticize yourself.
Right.
You look yourself and your staff in the mirror and you say exactly what Justin said, man, we let this one get away. You had the roster that you wanted. You had many guys on this team that stepped up and played huge roles and got so much better throughout the course of the season. And then you get to this point and you lose by 3 points. That is a tough thing. That's a tough pill to swallow, but you left it all out there on the court.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we saw from Little Christian all season long, and that's one thing that I would say to my team is, hey, fellas, this is not a glass ceiling. This isn't where it ends. We can continue to go through. We can continue to push and keep going. Starting out in the beginning of this season, everybody said it's Emmanuel Christian's year, right? They're going to be the team to beat in this conference. And then TC shows up, and then they get healthy, and then they become this team that everybody rivals around this area. So it's a hats off to them. But if, as a coach, the one thing you just tell them is, hey, back to the grind. You see how far it got us now? We got to work a little bit harder, and hopefully that motivates the younger guys on that roster to continue to get better.
Much like the Irish, nothing at all to hang your head about. A TAC title, a sectional title, a district title, the first in 13 years for TC, and the most wins in a single season in TC history. A great year for the Eagles and Coach Boris. They're going to move on, hopefully continued success. But we've got our clip of the week brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, and I think this was an easy pick. A buzzer beater, usually an easy pick for a clip of the week. A buzzer beater that wins you a regional final. A lock for our pick for clip of the week. Napoleon Jemison for the Whitmer Panthers. You saw the missed three-pointer by West. Leach just couldn't get the tip to go. Jemison, right place, right time. Just barely right time, might I add. 0.1 seconds on the clock when that thing left his hands, and the Panthers win a regional final. They head to the state Final Four. We will talk more about that game specifically later, but for now, we're just going to revel in Napoleon Jemison's moment to shine.
Right place, right time in a matter of seconds and fractions of a second. The fact that he got positioning where he needed to be, you kind of got to play a little bit of a guessing game. There's a little strategy. If you played enough basketball, you can gain a sense of where the ball might go. And he was right there. And then what I love about this is he had the wherewithal to know how much time was on the clock when they inbounded the ball, knowing that they missed one and then missed two. So you're going in your mental clock of, okay, I don't have time to catch the ball and then put it back up. I have to do exactly what he did. That's what I love about this is the court awareness, basketball IQ, what we talk about with some of our first team all BCSN players, and all of the coaches say high basketball IQ. He's not the star player on this team, but he has the athleticism. He has the basketball IQ to do what he needed to do in that exact moment, and that is the essence of high caliber sports.
Mike, I know what you're going to say. Tell him.
It's because he plays football.
There it is.
It's because he plays football. And I'm going to show you why. Like, take a look at the start of this play all the way to the end. I know you guys is listening to the podcast. You won't be able to see it. But Napoleon Jemison starts at the top of the key. He's getting bodied a little bit. He's in a little scuffle right there. And then they now pushing and fighting. And he fights all the way through with number 11 is boxing him out. And he does like, well, how did he get the ball? Because he never gave up on the play. From the start to finish.
Boxing him out right there.
Boxing him out, fighting, rebound. He's still there, just barely gets it. But that's being Johnny on the spot, and that's having trust and actually competing. And you see him, it's physical. He could have called and asked for a foul at the top of the key, but he didn't. And that's what you like about guys that come out here and playing at this level. They understand what's on the line, and they're doing it. And Napoleon Jemison, like I said, he's not a guy you hear his name called at all season during the hoop season. Football season, you're going to hear this guy first team All-State. But now he's probably thinking that he's a real basketball player. But congrats to Whitmer.
Panthers advanced their first state Final Four since 2012, their first regional title. You want more clips just like this one, make sure you follow us on TikTok at BCSN Sports. We are crawling ever closer to 10,000 followers. Make sure you are one of them. And another great thing, we'll go back to the Eagles of TC for our student section of the season. We teased it last week, and we brought the chain to the Eagles last week. They are our back-to-back student section of the season winners for the winter season, and they absolutely showed out. We said, hey, send us hashtag SSOTS, and they flooded our mentions. They flooded our replies. There was no way to go anywhere else but to the TC Eagles. Everybody else, I think you just got to step your game up to keep up to the level that the Eagles are flying at, because they're going to want to go back to back to back, and they told us that if you want to catch it back on Sports Nightly from last week, they are ready to bring it back a third year in a row, so everybody needs to step their game up. That is brought to you by Unison Health, our student section of the season award winners. Now we're going to head north of the border. The Bedford Kicking Mules ladies in action. Last night, they took on West Bloomfield, a Cinderella run for Bedford. They had a lot of hardships they dealt with this season. Coach Bill Ryan had heart surgery in January, and this team really came around, coach, and put together a heck of a season. 24-3. They fall last night, 54-32. But like these other teams we've talked about today, there's nothing that this team can hang their heads about, Mike.
No, you don't want to hang your head at all, and when you Bedford, and you've been through some of these things, having a great season the way they did. I mean, sometimes let's just call it what it is. You run into a buzzsaw.
Absolutely.
And that's just what happens in sports. Sometimes we get caught up in the record of a team, but sometimes you got to look at the makeup and the build, and sometimes it's about matchups. And right there, Bedford was a little bit outmatched. Earlier in the season, they played extremely well, and that's okay. And regular season matters. It's like my Rockets, man. They play great in the regular season, and then sometimes in the tournament, it just doesn't go the way that you want to. But that does not negate a great season that these girls have played. And that, like I said, that team right there, you got two finalists for
men's basketball. Yeah.
I mean, that's a doozy to handle. But again, you tip the hat to that squad and to the coaching staff for even getting them to that point.
Yeah, for West Bloomfield, Summer and India Davis, two finalists for Miss Basketball. Summer Davis had 21 points in the first half last night. So I think she was a little bitter about not getting that title. West Bloomfield's only lost this season, A-Dub. So a very, very good team, number one ranked team in the state of Michigan that Bedford had to line up with last night. Yeah,
and sometimes your stars align for a certain team, having sisters who are that good and both finalists, and then they were not named. Neither of them won the award, so that automatically provides some inspiration and motivation to go out and ball out.
Fire.
21 points in the first half, I'd say so. And Victoria Gray, Peyton 𝗶𝗵𝗆, Nia Mullins, Aubrey Hensley, some key contributors for the Kicking Mules. And they, definitely had a terrific season, a 24-3 overall record after the season comes to glow in the state quarterfinals. Keep in mind, Michigan has 4 divisions, so a lot of teams across the state in that division. And for them to finish in the top 8, one step away from a trip to the Final Four and to the Breslin Center at Michigan State University, they proved people wrong, and then probably proved themselves right that they believed in themselves and could get to this point and continued to win at the district and the regional level. But Coach Bill Ryan has done a fabulous job, a longtime tenured coach there, and back from a medical leave that you alluded to earlier there in the segment. And those players responded, the community responded, the parents responded around them. And sometimes that's a galvanizing force when someone faces some type of hardship, whether it's on the court or off the court, an injury, an illness, something happens to a family member or whatever the case may be. The Kicking Mules definitely rallied around that cause, and it led them to a memorable season, especially for the seniors to get to this point. It's something they'll remember forever.
Yeah, Victoria Gray had a heck of a season, 11.5 points, 8.5 boards per game. Peyton 𝗶𝗵𝗆, she had 9 last night to lead the team. She's a name I'm sure we will hear plenty here as we move into softball season, is Peyton 𝗶𝗆. So a great season for the Bedford ladies, the Kicking Mules. They fall short last night, but a heck of a year, and we hope Coach Ryan stays healthy and gets these girls right back to where they need to be. And now we're going to move to the D1 boys side for Ohio. No game of the week this week, but I think if we could tab a game as game of the week, there's no way it would be anything other than this. The state semifinal, the Whitmer Panthers, 25-2, number 7 team in the state, They head down to take on Centerville in Dayton. Dayton beating Moeller in double overtime to win a regional final last weekend. You see it on the bracket there. They will get Centerville 8:30 on Saturday at UD. They'll play Ignatius or Hayes, the winner of that one, in the state final. Granted, they get to that point. Obviously, we showed you the dramatic win over Garfield Heights last weekend from Napoleon Jemison. West had 21 points. Leach had 10 and 8 to get them there. This is a team we've talked about all season with more than enough talent to get here. It was, could they continue putting it all together? Could they get over the times when we saw them have maybe poor shot selection that was holding them back a little bit? And here they are, state Final Four.
Yeah, first time since 2012. And who was on that team? Nigel Hayes and Storm Norton, Chris Wormley as well.
Yes.
We were told yesterday that Nigel Hayes got brand new shoes for everybody, for the Whitmer team. And then Storm Norton
bought a bunch of tickets. Yes.
He's Inside Out guest number one
Very
on Sunday at 8 o'clock. Storm Norton bought tickets for students to head on down to UD. So I love when those are two of the guys that never forget from where they came from over and over again. They have responded, and Chris Wormley as well has done the Chris Wormley football camp during the summer. So really appreciate those guys and what they've done for their community and their school, and really partnership and interaction with us at BCSN. So in my opinion, it's rinse and repeat. You know, in the type of games that you would expect to see if Whitmer is going to be in these games, it's going to be about focus, attention to the detail, a mentality of no matter what. No matter what, I got to box out. No matter what, I'm going to play defense from the first minute to the final minute type of thing. They got to get stops on defense, and they're going to have to rebound. When you get to the Final Four in Division I, where you got elite primo athletes from bigger metropolitan areas across the state, St. Ignatius, Cleveland, Delaware, Hayes from outside of Columbus, and then Centerville from the Dayton area, Whitmer from the Toledo area. The fact that you are going to see Division I talent, i.e. Antoine West, and I know we've been pushing for him to have a breakout game. I'd say he did it against St. John's with 33 points, perfect from the free throw line, 14 of 14. Then he backs it up in the regional final with 21 points. So he's showing up and showing out in these games in environments where you're playing in a college gymnasium, college arena. You're going to get that again at University of Dayton Arena. It's going to be the prime time Saturday night. No one's working. You're going to be down there. Everyone can take a look at your matchup and flood the seats there. That's a basketball mecca this week. It's where the first four are for the men's tournament on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they'll clear it out and then get ready for some high school hoops Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But yeah, this is a matchup that Whitmer can win. And Coach Stacy in the post-game celebration locker room after they beat Garfield Heights said, hey, you're going to the state Final Four, but we ain't done. But it's not over. We still have more work to do, and that's what they're capable of.
Mike Robb, there's been no bigger proponent on this set, at least, for saying, hey, Antoine West, it's time to go. You are a D1 guy. Let's show it. And I think he heard you because he's been going in the regional semis and finals.
Thank you, Antoine. I mean, we've been waiting for this moment, but you know what? That's what it takes sometimes, and again, we talked about the regular season. We know what the regular season means. It's getting out there and getting better. And for some teams, it's preparing and trying different things, trying different lineups, trying to see what works best. So when you get to these points in the season, that you have the depth, you have the lineup, you have the experience of shifting people around. And then you see Antoine Jemison, guys like that, step up and make huge plays late. But for this team here, they're going to have a huge matchup here versus Centerville. Centerville is a tough team that's played against a lot of talented teams. I looked at their roster, and they played Ignatius, and it's a possibility they can have a part 3 versus them, and keeping this there, a part 2 with them. So this is a team that's extremely tough, and I think that if Antoine West and the boys can just stay level-headed, this is a game that they can win. This is a team that's going to go to overtime. They're going to fight and battle and claw. They got a lot of depth, but this is a Antoine West type of season. I smell state championship.
All right, I love to hear it. That would be the first state title for any team in Whitmer history. I don't know if you knew that. They have never won a state title as a team in any sport, so I'm hoping that comes home, brings it home. I'm a Panther guy myself. So we'll start with, if we're talking about Antoine West, we might as well just move into our first team, all BCSN top 5 boys list. This is brought to you by Midas. Throw that graphic up on the screen. Let's check it out. This released last Friday on Game Day Nation Overtime. Antoine West right there at the top of the list. These are not in a top 5 order. These are just our 5 top players in the area. Antoine West, Javonte Hill, Jalen Murphy, Micah Bays, Nate Miles. That is a heck of a starting 5 if we can get them all on the court at any point in time.
Yeah, that'd be a lovely all-star team. Alphabetical order by first name, by the way. So Antoine West, very deserving. 2 out of those 5 Division I caliber talents with the top of the list, Antoine West and Nate Miles. Look at, he's the only sophomore on that list. 3 seniors in the middle, and then West, a junior. But Javonte Hill, jumping Javonte, he was just a highlight machine.
Yes.
But not just a highlight machine. He earned all of those highlights by running the floor, by being in the right place at the right time. And he was the main guy, along with Will Cordonier, on that Findlay team who was ranked in the state's top 10, top 5 for much of the season. Yep. They got upset by Northview early in the tournament, but still a great season. Jalen Murphy, a team leader, 18 points a game. Coach Mike Schoen told me that he has gotten better each and every step of the way. He has not regressed at all. He's from day one as a freshman to now has just gotten better and better. And then Micah Bays, not necessarily bursting onto the scene this year because he was a standout last year, made our first team all BCSN top 30 list. But he put the Cougars on his back a number of times. And with the new head coach and Dennis Springs this season, they put a lot on him because they knew he was capable of doing it.
All right, we'll flip it over to the girls list now. You can see that graphic pop up. Bria Jefferson, Brooklyn Vaughn, Destiny Robinson, Elise Bender, Kendall Braden. Again, I'll take this all-star team against just about anybody in the state, Mike.
Yeah, this group right here can beat some groups of boys basketball teams out here.
Yeah, I'm loving it,
and I'm not even going to say any names, but you know this is a roster right here of girls. It just shows how deep basketball is here in Northwest Ohio. You know, you have so much talent. You got other names that could easily be added in there. You know, that will be debatable, but you know, you take this top 5 group of girls here, and they could compete with anybody in the state. And again, you take a look. You know, Elise Bender. I mean, we just go back and talk about Anthony Wayne. I mean, that team is loaded, and we've talked about it. But again, just for the list's sake, I like all these girls here on this list for what they can do on the court. And the one person that's really interesting to me is Destiny Robinson, and I hope to see her do some big things here at Toledo because she is a special ball handler.
Hey, you talk about D1 prospects on the guys' side. Destiny Robinson, Kendall Braden, both UT commits going to hang out with Coach Cullup. Elise Bender, plenty of D1 offers between her and her sister, places to check out together. So our top 5 boys and girls list brought to you by 𝗦𝗽ശ്. Shout out to all 10 of those athletes. And now we're going to talk about some of our upcoming games this weekend. We've got Friday, we've got ECHL action, Fort Wayne coming to Toledo. That'll be on BCSN. We've got the Wranglers, Glass City Wranglers in action on the NLL Network on 7 p.m. on BCSN. Okay. We've got college softball. We're getting rolling early. We might not be talking about it yet on the podcast, but we've got college softball rolling in Toledo and BG, the Battle of I-75 on Friday at 3 p.m. And then we've got a doubleheader following that up on Saturday between those two ladies' teams at 1 and 3 p.m. on BCSN and the app. And then high school softball, Bryan at Northview at 11 a.m. on BCSN. And then Sunday, I think we've got a pretty special show rolling out on Sunday, huh?
Yeah, Inside Out with Justin Feldkamp, Season 4, Episode 1. We mentioned earlier, Storm Norton recently signed with the Atlanta Falcons, so he's entering year 8 in the NFL. That ain't easy, people.
Yes.
Being in the NFL, it's called not for long for a reason, and to be in the league this long, he's already surpassed the average length of time for a career in the elite level of football. So he was great guest. We sized it up at University of Toledo, and he was a great guest, great stories, great information, great insight. And we kind of go back in time to his Whitmer days. And even before that, a little teaser. Football wasn't his first love. It was a different sport. So you have to tune in Sunday night at 8 o'clock on BCSN and the BCSN app. For the first episode, we got some great guys lined up and women lined up for the rest of the season, including Jim Leland, future or already named plug. Hall of Famer, going to Cooperstown. We'll be in Toledo with some of his responsibilities with the Tigers and the Mud Hens. We'll see him later this summer.
Another cool thing about Storm re-signing in Atlanta, he gets to join fellow former Whitmer Panther Kevin Koger on the coaching staff in Atlanta. So we got a little TOL reunion down in the ATL. That's going to wrap it up for us this week. However, here on the BCSN Nation podcast, I don't want to break your hearts, but we are going to take a short 2-week hiatus as we get rolling into softball and baseball season. So we'll be right back here on April 10th, 4 p.m. on BCSN or anywhere you get your podcast, bcsnnation.com, Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio. Listen to all these episodes in the meantime multiple times over to get yourself ready to roll. Follow Justin 𝗏𝗏𝗵 at Justin 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗵, at Coach_Mike Rob, or at Carnes Brandon. And make sure you follow at BCSN Sports. We'll see you in April.
Peace.